First story. Entitled Sister Cheated with a Married Man. Now that married man's wife and her friend physically assaulted and SLT shamed me, confusing me with my sister, and my parents finally saw my sister for what she is. So they disowned and kicked her out of the house. I have no idea where my idiot sister is because she went on vacation with her friends. All I know is that I'm going to pull her hair out when I see her. My sister and I go to the same university. Although we are only 3 years apart, we are almost identical, and people always confuse us for twins. And today I suffered because of that resemblance we have, because as soon as I left my university to go to my car, a lady threw herself on me to start dragging me by the hair, while she was yelling at me a lot of things and insults. By pure instinct, I also began to fight. Honestly, at that moment, I thought that some homeless person had an attack of dementia or something. I pulled her by the hair until my friends separated her from me. The woman was crying, and behind her, there were 2 more women who were with her and arguing with my friends. The woman was yelling at me that I am her husband's SLT, and I didn't understand anything about what was happening. But at that moment my mind clicked, because I know that my sister is dating an older man. She doesn't tell me much about him, but she shows me the gifts he gives her. I told the woman that she was looking for my sister. Basically, the people who were with her yelled at me that I must be just as SLTTY as my sister. I'm not, I think, and tried to fight again. But the police approached us, and it was all too messy. Now my scalp is full of scratches, my back is scraped by the asphalt, and my hair hurts too much. And my sister doesn't answer my calls to explain what the hell she did before I tell my mother what happened. I know that if I tell my parents about this, they might even stop paying for my sister's education, because it's not the first time she has done something like this. I'm going to tell them. Yes, but first I need to talk with my sister. The humiliation of having been beaten up at my university for something I didn't do is too big. It gives me chills to think about coming back on Monday, and that the people who saw us believe that I am to blame for that when my sister was the culprit. Poor woman. I do feel empathy for her, but I didn't deserve that beating. My sister is not a good person at all, so it's easy to see her in a situation like this. At least she should have asked my name before that. Edit. Yes, we ended up at the police station, and I filed charges against her, even though she apologized to me a lot once she calmed down a little bit. To be honest, her friends were worse than her in the sense of wanting to keep fighting when it was all over. But anyway, that doesn't justify that the fool hit the wrong person. For now, I'm just going to wait for my sister to come back, because I want to say everything with her present, so that she can't run away from our parents. It's not the first time my sister has messed with a married man. Relevant comments. No_pattern 5707. The fact she said you're probably a SLT too? Don't feel sympathy for her. She's turned just as hateful. OP. Her friends said that, not her. She was too overwhelmed to be honest. And her friends didn't help at all because they screamed louder than she did. Weary_wrongdoer_7511. Bruh. I would get that woman's number and call her when your sister gets back and deliver the devil to your sister's doorstep. That's the only way she will learn that her actions have consequences. OP. I told the woman that my sister was going to be back next week. I don't know if she will look for her, but if she does, I hope she won't get confused again. Lintho. Tell your parents before your sister can change the story to them. OP. Even if my sister changed the story, they wouldn't believe her. She has a history of being with married men. Petster 2. Exactly, my point. We don't know what the husband is telling his girlfriends. The wife and her thugs need to visit Mr. Wonderful. OP. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if my sister knows. She likes to be the mistress, and it's something she says out loud. And even my parents know. It's something she enjoys. OP. On if her sister had done this before. My sister has a history of sleeping with married men and getting my parents in trouble for it, also for other behaviors she has. She was the mistress of a man close to me and my parents. So she's walking a tightrope because last time a strong situation happened. And my parents are tired of her behavior. She's not a girl. She's a grown woman who keeps getting us in trouble without having any consequences. Update post. 7 days a week later. Hi, my sister came back from her vacation a few days ago. I waited for her to come back because I didn't want her to run away from telling our parents what happened. And I wanted her to be the one to tell them everything. My sister lives with our parents. No, she's not a teenager. She's almost 30. I don't know why someone in the comments said that she was suffering from grooming when she's 28. There are even 40-plus-year-old people in college. And anyways, you need to be an adult to be there. So when she arrived, I was already there. When my parents asked me what the hell happened to me, I told them to wait for my sister to come to talk about it, so they already knew that this was about her. Many people don't understand that there are people who like to be the second and enjoy feeling that they can sleep with anyone, even with a forbidden one. And my sister is that type of person. Since she was a teenager, she flirted with her friends' boyfriends. She did it to measure her value with others, but she never flirted with any of my boyfriends. At least she has her limits. Now that she is older, she likes to sleep with married men. For her, it is better to receive gifts and fun without the pressure of being the wife her words. We discussed this many times. At the end of the day, it's all a self-esteem and ego problem that my sister has. She needs to know that she can get whatever she wants. Anyway, a few days ago, the cheating man had sent a message to my sister telling her that his wife beat him and kicked him out of the house after she found out about his affair with my sister. The woman found my sister's egg and sent her messages telling her to stay away from her family, because apparently the man took their kids to some of the dates with my sister. And my sister, who is a big idiot, followed the fight with a woman insulting her. She showed me the chat and was clearly encouraging the woman to fight, calling her names, etc. And that's how I ended up getting beaten. According to my sister, she didn't believe that the woman was really going to hit her. But then I started to message her, and she basically ignored me because she didn't want to get that kind of stress, and also because she knew she screwed up. Honestly, so many comments told me that my sister was not to blame for anything that I began to believe it. Until I saw the messages she sent to that woman almost begging for a beating, and I stopped feeling any kind of empathy for her. She's not a good person and never was. I was furious, but my mother was even angrier. It is not the first time that my family has been affected because of her sexual adventures. This time we did not lose money or friends, but I was physically attacked, which is worse. My sister justified herself by saying that she is single and has no responsibility for any marriage. But my mother told her that we all suffer because of her problematic behavior, and that morally she's helping to ruin the lives of many because of her ego. It all ended with my sister throwing a tantrum like always, and even blaming me for looking like her. But this time my father kicked her out of the house with her things. I found it a little sad that my own parents apologized to me for their adult daughter's behavior. At the end of the day, I feel sad to see my parents and other people because of her behavior. And about the woman, she contacted me the next day. I got beaten and was really sorry. She said she would pay for any medical expenses, but I'm fine. She sounded much calmer without her friends and told me that she had never done anything like that. But she felt a very strong hatred for my sister and her ex because of how they talked about her with the children. Although she sounded really regretful, a large part of me wanted her to kick my sister's arse. But that's not going to happen. Even if that doesn't make me a good person, I would have liked to see that. I'm sorry for the boring update. But not much happened, except that she didn't send me a message or anything like that. Anyways, I just pray that my parents still don't talk to her, so I can see her as little as possible. Second story. I neglected my son for my new wife, and my stepdaughter allowed them to abuse my son, cutting my son's college fund for my stepdaughter, forcing him to find a part-time job. Still, my wife demands that I don't gift him the planned car on his birthday because it's unfair to my stepdaughter and will spoil my son. I feel like I let him down and am scared he will abandon me. I'm a 42-year-old dad to my amazing 18-year-old son, Josh. I raised him on my own after his mom tragically passed away from complications during childbirth. It hasn't been easy losing her. Left a hole in both our lives, but Josh has always been my rock, even when I should have been his. He's a quiet, responsible kid who rarely asks for anything, and as he prepares to leave for college, I've been reflecting on everything he's done for me and for our family. I remarried 2 years ago after dating my wife, Lauren, for 5 years. She brought her now 16-year-old daughter, Mia, into the relationship. They moved into my house 3 years into our relationship, and I thought blending our families would be a relatively smooth process. I honestly believed we'd be one big happy family in time. Josh welcomed them with open arms. He never once complained about sharing the house, about the sudden change in our dynamic, or about how much more of my attention had to go toward Lauren and Mia. He even goes out of his way to help Lauren around the house, fixing things, doing chores, or helping Mia with her schoolwork when she needs it. But I can't ignore the fact that neither Lauren nor Mia has ever shown him the same warmth in return. Lauren isn't outright hostile toward Josh, she's polite. But there's a distance there, a coldness. Mia barely interacts with him unless she has to, and even then, it feels forced. I don't know why. Josh tries. He's kind and willing to help. He treats Mia like a younger sibling, even if she doesn't reciprocate. I keep telling myself that this is just a transitional phase, but I don't know anymore. Now, with Josh's 18th birthday approaching, I feel like I'm at a crossroads, stuck between my son and my wife. Josh is leaving for college in a couple of months, and to celebrate his milestone, I've been planning to gift him a car for his birthday. It's nothing extravagant, just a used, but reliable vehicle to help him get around. He's never asked for it, but I know it'll make his life so much easier. He's been working part-time to cover some of his college expenses after I had to make some tough financial decisions, more on that later. And this is my way of showing him how proud I am of everything he's accomplished. When I brought the idea up to Lauren, though, she immediately shot it down. She told me that buying Josh a car was a waste of money because he's an adult now and needs to earn things on his own. According to her, I'm spoiling him by even considering it. She said I need to stop babying him and that he won't survive the real world if I keep giving him handouts. I was blindsided by her reaction. Josh has never been the kind of kid to expect handouts. He's already working part-time to make up for the college fund shortfall, which, again, I'll get into later, and he's responsible to a fault. He does his chores without being asked, helps Lauren with household projects, and even tries to bond with Mia despite her standoffishness. I don't see how buying him a car is spoiling him. It's not like he's asking for it. When I tried to explain this to Lauren, she doubled down. She told me I'm setting a bad example by rewarding him for something he's supposed to do, like being responsible and going to college, and that it's unfair to spend money on a car when Mia is still a couple of years away from college. I told her I could look into saving up for Mia when the time comes. But she said it's not about saving, it's about fairness. She ended the conversation by saying I could either scrap the idea entirely, or, if I really wanted to buy a car, I could wait and give it to Mia for her 17th birthday next year instead. I was floored. How does that even make sense? Mia just got a brand new phone and concert tickets for her birthday this year, while Josh has never asked for anything remotely close to that. This car isn't about playing favorites. It's about celebrating the fact that my son is leaving for college and giving him a head start on his independence. But now I'm second-guessing myself. This isn't the first time I've had to make a tough decision when it comes to balancing my love for Josh and my responsibility to our blended family. When Lauren and I got married, she made it clear that she expected me to help fund Mia's college education, the same way I was funding Josh's. At the time, I agreed it seemed fair, and I wanted Mia to feel like an equal part of the family. But when I sat down and did the math, I realized I couldn't afford to fully fund both kids' educations. I made the difficult decision to split Josh's college fund in half and start a new fund for Mia. When I told Josh, he just nodded and said, "That's okay, Dad. I'll figure it out." He's never complained about it, but I know it's been hard on him. He's had to take on a part-time job to make up for the shortfall, and while he keeps his feelings to himself, I can see the disappointment in his eyes. I've tried to justify it to myself by saying that it was the right thing to do for our family, but the guilt eats at me. I've let him down once already, and now, with this car situation, I feel like I'm on the verge of letting him down again. Lauren insists that she's only trying to be fair. She says that if I give Josh a car now, I'll set a precedent where he always gets more than Mia. She doesn't see it as a celebration of Josh's milestone. She sees it as favoritism, plain and simple. She told me that if I want to gift something, it should be something practical for college, like books or supplies, not something luxurious like a car. Josh doesn't know about the car yet. I wanted it to be a surprise, but now I'm afraid it's not going to happen at all. He's already done so much to adapt to this new family dynamic, sharing his home, his space, even his college fund, and I can't shake the feeling that he's always the one who has to sacrifice. He never complained, though. Even when he's visibly hurt, he keeps it to himself. He helps Lauren with chores without being asked, even though she rarely thanks him. He's always polite to Mia, even when she brushes him off. And now, as he prepares to leave for college, I can't help but feel like I owe him something to show him how much I appreciate everything he's done and how proud I am of him. But Lauren's words keep ringing in my ears. I'm stuck. If I go through with gifting Josh the car, I risk creating a major conflict with Lauren. But if I don't, I risk letting my son down again. I love both of them, but I don't know how to navigate this. Am I wrong for wanting to give my son this gift? Is Lauren right that I'm spoiling him, or is she being unfair? Reddit, I need your help. Comments. Comment 1. You cut your son's college fund in half, made him work part-time, and now you're debating giving him a car because your wife doesn't approve. You're not a father, you're a spineless doormat. Your wife doesn't respect you, and you're letting her emotionally abuse your son while you sit back and enable it. Newsflash, your son will 100% go no contact with you, and honestly, he'll be better off. Grow a backbone before it's too late, or don't, and lose him for good. Comment 2. Let's be clear. Your wife doesn't care about your son. She manipulates you, threatens divorce, and prioritizes her daughter while you sacrifice your son's future for her approval. That's abuse, and you're enabling it. Your son lost his mom, works hard, helps your wife, and this is how you repay him. He deserves better than you, and he'll figure that out the second he leaves for college. Small update in comments. You're all absolutely right, and I needed to hear this. I've been so caught up in trying to keep the peace with my wife that I've completely failed the one person who's always been there for me. My son. I don't know how I let it get this far, but reading these comments has made me realize just how much I've been neglecting him and enabling my wife's toxic behavior. I'm ashamed of how I've handled things. Josh has sacrificed so much without complaining. He works part-time because I cut his college fund, helps out around the house, and tries to bond with people who've been cold to him. And instead of supporting him, I've let him down time and time again. He deserves better than what I've given him. I'm going to fix this. Tonight, I'm sitting down with Josh to apologize, tell him about the car, and ask how I can make things right. I'll also talk to my wife and stepdaughter. They need to understand that I won't allow my son to be treated like this anymore, and I won't sacrifice his happiness just to keep the peace. Thank you to everyone who gave me a reality check. It hurts to admit how badly I've failed, but I needed this wake-up call before it was too late. I promise I'll do better. Update. First of all, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post, especially the ones who didn't hold back. Your words were harsh, but they were exactly what I needed to wake up and see what I've been doing to my son. I was so focused on keeping the peace with my wife that I failed as a father. I've been enabling my wife's toxic behavior and letting my son pay the price, and I hate myself for it. But I promised to make things right, and here's what happened when I did. The first thing I did that night was sit down with Josh. I told him everything about the car, about how I'd been letting him down, and about how I'd been prioritizing my wife and stepdaughter's feelings over his. I apologized for cutting his college fund, for not standing up for him when he deserved it, and for making him feel like an afterthought in his own home. Josh, being the amazing kid that he is, didn't explode on me or hold it over my head. He just looked at me, nodded, and said, "Thanks, Dad. I get it." But I could see the hurt in his eyes. I asked him if there was anything I could do to make things right, and he told me, "You don't have to buy me things or try to fix it with money. Just show me that I matter." That broke me. All this time, I thought I was failing him because of material things. But what really hurt him was how little I stood up for him. I promised him that from now on, I'd always have his back. And then I told him about the car, that it was his, and that I was proud of him. The next conversation didn't go so smoothly. I sat Lauren, my wife, and Mia, my stepdaughter, down that same night and told them I decided to give Josh the car for his birthday. I explained that it wasn't about favoritism. It was about recognizing everything Josh has done and celebrating a huge milestone in his life. Lauren didn't take it well. She immediately started yelling, saying I was undermining her and showing blatant favoritism. She repeated the same thing she'd said before, that Josh is an adult, that he needs to earn things, and that I was spoiling him. Then she hit me with the usual threat. "If you do this, it'll destroy our family. Maybe we shouldn't be together if you're going to prioritize him over us." Here's where things really hit a nerve. Lauren has no job. She hasn't worked since before we got married, and I've been supporting her and Mia financially ever since they moved in. I pay for the mortgage, the utilities, the groceries, and all of Mia's needs. Lauren hasn't contributed a single cent to this household, and yet she feels entitled to dictate how I spend my money. She doesn't see it as our money when it comes to paying for Josh, but she has no problem calling it our money when it benefits her or Mia. That realization hit me hard in that moment, and I decided I was done letting her manipulate me. I told Lauren, calmly but firmly, that I wasn't prioritizing anyone, I was being a father. I told her I wouldn't let her guilt me into sacrificing my son's happiness just to avoid a fight. That's when she escalated. She started screaming about how she'd take everything if we divorced, my house, my assets, whatever she could. Mia jumped in, calling me selfish and accusing me of loving Josh more than her. I could see that Lauren had planted these ideas in Mia's head, but it still hurt to hear. When Lauren realized I wasn't going to budge, she said, "Fine. If that's how you want it, we're leaving." She packed some bags, and she and Mia left that night to stay with her parents. Before she walked out the door, she told me, "You'll regret this. Don't expect to see me or Mia again unless you come to your senses." I told her I'd already come to my senses. The next morning, I decided it was time to fully reevaluate everything. I've been looking up lawyers and preparing myself for what could be a messy divorce. If Lauren wants to play hardball and go after my assets, so be it, but I won't let her take away anything that belongs to Josh. I've already decided that if it comes to it, I'll be redirecting the college fund I'd set aside for Mia back to Josh. I'm done letting him sacrifice his future for people who don't care about him. Since Lauren and Mia left, I've been spending more time with Josh. We've been talking a lot about college, about life, about everything we've been through. I can tell he's still guarded, and I don't blame him. I've let him down so many times that it's going to take time to rebuild that trust. But I'm committed to making it happen. Josh has also opened up more about how he's felt in the past few years. He admitted that he's always felt like an outsider in his own home since Lauren and Mia moved in. He said he tried to bond with them because he thought it would make things easier for me, but they never showed any interest. Hearing that broke my heart. He deserves to feel safe and loved in his own home, and I'm furious with myself for letting it get this bad. Right now, I'm focusing on two things: protecting my son and preparing for what's next. I've reached out to a lawyer to make sure I'm ready if Lauren tries to come after my assets or make this divorce as painful as possible. I'm also spending as much time as I can with Josh before he leaves for college, because I want him to know, without a doubt, that he comes first. Lauren and Mia haven't reached out since they left, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I loved Lauren, and I wanted our blended family to work. But I can't keep sacrificing my son's happiness just to keep a toxic marriage afloat. Josh has been through enough already, losing his mom, dealing with the changes in our family, and feeling like he's always the one who has to compromise. He deserves better, and I'm going to do everything in my power to give it to him. To everyone who commented on my original post, thank you for giving me the wake-up call I needed. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I'm finally taking steps to fix them. Josh deserves a father who will fight for him, and I'm done letting him down. If Lauren and Mia can't see that, then maybe it's better this way. Update. Hey, everyone. It's been a long time since I posted here, and so much has happened since my last update. I wanted to share the full story, both the bad and the good, and let you know where things stand now. To those who gave me the reality check I desperately needed, I owe you everything. Your words helped me finally grow a spine and prioritize my son. And while the road wasn't easy, I can say with certainty that it was worth it. Here's how it all went down. After my wife, Lauren, and her daughter, Mia, left the house that night, I immediately got to work. I contacted a lawyer the next day to prepare for what I knew would be a messy divorce. Lauren hadn't contributed financially to the household since she moved in. She didn't have a job and relied entirely on me to support her and Mia. But based on our conversations, I knew she'd try to milk me for everything she could, so I wanted to be ready. What I didn't expect was how low she'd stoop to get what she wanted. Shortly after I filed for divorce, Lauren started making false accusations against me. She claimed I had been verbally abusive during our marriage and tried to paint me as an unfit parent. She even had the audacity to suggest that I had been neglecting Mia in favor of Josh, despite the fact that I'd split my son's college fund to create one for her. These accusations weren't just lies, they were slander, and they turned an already difficult divorce into an absolute nightmare. Lauren also tried to guilt me into dropping the divorce. She'd call me and cry about how she had sacrificed so much to marry me and how I was ruining Mia's life by prioritizing Josh. At one point, she even threatened to alienate Mia from me entirely, claiming that Mia had already decided she wanted nothing to do with me. To be honest, that hurt. I cared about Mia and tried my best to treat her like my own, even when she was distant toward Josh, but by then, it was clear that Lauren had poisoned any chance of a real relationship between us. The divorce dragged on for over a year. Lauren demanded spousal support, claiming she couldn't get a job because she had to focus on being a mom to Mia. She also wanted me to continue contributing to Mia's college fund, despite the fact that I'd already decided to redirect it back to Josh after everything that happened. My lawyer fought hard to make sure Lauren didn't take more than she was entitled to, and in the end, I came out mostly unscathed. Here's how things shook out. I kept the house. Lauren tried to argue that she and Mia deserved it, but since I'd owned it long before we got married, the court ruled in my favor. I had to pay some alimony, but it wasn't nearly as much as Lauren wanted. The judge noted that she hadn't made any effort to find work during our marriage and that her demands were excessive. I wasn't required to contribute to Mia's college fund or pay child support. Since Mia isn't my biological or adopted daughter, I had no legal obligation to support her financially. Lauren's attempts to drag my name through the mud backfired in the end. The court saw through her lies And while the process was draining, I'm grateful that justice prevailed. The silver lining in all of this mess has been my relationship with Josh. After everything that happened, I made it my mission to repair the damage I'd done and rebuild his trust. It wasn't easy. Josh had every right to be wary after years of feeling like he came second, but little by little, we got there. Josh is thriving now. He's in his second year of college and doing incredibly well. He's got a great group of friends, a steady part-time job, and a bright future ahead of him. The car I gave him for his birthday has been a lifesaver, especially since he has to commute to campus for some of his classes. He still tells me how much that gift meant to him. It wasn't just about the car, but about the fact that I finally stood up for him. Lauren and Mia are out of the picture completely. I haven't heard from them since the divorce was finalized, and honestly, I don't miss them. Mia made it clear during the divorce that she blames me for breaking up her family. And while that's painful to hear, I know it's not entirely her fault. Lauren manipulated her and filled her head with lies, and there's nothing I can do to change that. I won't sugarcoat it. This whole experience has been a roller coaster. The divorce was brutal, and the false accusations took a toll on my mental health. There were nights when I questioned whether I was doing the right thing, whether I should have just given in to keep the peace. But then I'd look at Josh, at how much he's grown and how happy he is now, and I'd remember why I made the choices I did. The bad news is that my marriage failed, and I've lost people I once considered family. The good news is that I've gained something far more important: my son's trust. I've learned that being a father means putting your child first, even when it's hard, even when it costs you. I still think about what might have been if I'd stood up to Lauren sooner. Maybe things wouldn't have gotten so bad. Maybe Josh wouldn't have spent years feeling like an outsider in his own home. But there's no use dwelling on the past. All I can do now is move forward and make sure my son never has to question how much he means to me again. To everyone who commented on my original post, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your words, no matter how harsh, gave me the wake-up call I needed to turn my life around. You reminded me what it means to be a father, and for that, I'll always be grateful. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.